Love the Eagles as much as we do? Then hit that subscribe button and stick with us at Eagles Nest News for all the drama, updates, and hype all season long. The sports world woke up buzzing with disbelief and curiosity as whispers turned into loud hallway chatter about a blockbuster move involving Philadelphia and Cleveland. What started as a distant rumor suddenly gained weight when insiders began insisting that a trade framework between the Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles had quietly crossed the line from fantasy to reality. The name at the center of this storm, Deshaun Watson, immediately ignited debates, hot takes, and endless speculation across social media, sports radio, and especially YouTube comment sections. From the tone of league conversations, this was not just another quarterback shuffle, but a seismic shift that could redefine the identity of an entire franchise. Philadelphia, a city that lives and breathes football with unmatched intensity, seemed suddenly divided between excitement and apprehension, while Cleveland fans were left trying to process what this meant for their own future. The narrative forming behind the scenes suggested months of discreet talks, carefully timed leverage, and a front office in Philadelphia that believed this was the bold move required to push the organization into a new competitive window. Nothing about this deal felt accidental or rushed, and that alone made people believe there was far more beneath the surface than what was being casually mentioned. From the Eagles' perspective, the speculation centered on ambition and impatience. This franchise has never been content with slow rebuilds or half measures, and the possibility of bringing in a quarterback with Watson's pedigree fits perfectly into that mindset. Insiders hinted that Philadelphia's leadership viewed this moment as a crossroads, a decision point where they could either continue developing internal options or swing big for a proven, high-ceiling talent. The rumors described long internal debates, scouting meetings that went late into the night, and heated discussions about risk versus reward. Watson's name kept resurfacing as the ultimate gamble, a player capable of elevating the offense instantly, while also carrying undeniable baggage and uncertainty. In those speculative conversations, the Eagles were portrayed as believing their locker room culture, veteran leadership, and coaching structure could absorb that pressure and turn it into fuel rather than distraction. The idea of being whispered was simple yet daring. If everything clicked, Philadelphia would not just improve, they would transform, shifting from a competitive team into one that demanded respect and fear every time they stepped onto the field. Cleveland's side of the rumor painted a very different emotional picture, one of reset and recalibration rather than shock. According to speculation, the Browns front office had reached a point where long-term flexibility mattered more than clinging to a single high-profile name. The chatter suggested that Cleveland saw an opportunity to reshape its roster identity, regain control over assets, and stabilize a locker room that had lived under a constant microscope. Moving Watson, in this narrative, was not portrayed as surrender, but as a strategic pivot, an acknowledgement that sometimes the boldest move is stepping back rather than doubling down. Sources close to the situation hinted that the Browns were quietly impressed by the Eagles' willingness to negotiate aggressively, offering a package that aligned with Cleveland's broader vision. Fans, however, were left wrestling with mixed emotions, torn between relief, frustration, and cautious optimism. The rumor mill emphasized that Cleveland was less concerned with headlines and more focused on restoring balance, believing that this trade could eventually be remembered as the moment the franchise regained clarity. As speculation continued to swirl, the focus naturally shifted to what Deshaun Watson himself might think about this dramatic change of scenery. The narrative being whispered suggested a quarterback eager for a fresh chapter, one where the spotlight felt different and the expectations were reframed. Philadelphia, unlike Cleveland, offered a football-obsessed environment where controversy often gets drowned out by performance and passion. Rumors hinted that Watson saw the Eagles as a place where winning could quickly rewrite narratives and where a strong start might silence critics faster than anywhere else. The idea of playing behind a dominant offensive line, surrounded by versatile weapons, was said to be a major selling point in private conversations. Speculation painted Watson as motivated, focused, and keenly aware that this move represented more than football. It represented an opportunity to redefine his legacy. Whether that belief was shared by fans remained an open question, but the sense of urgency around his potential arrival in Philadelphia was impossible to ignore. The broader league reaction, according to speculative chatter, ranged from stunned admiration to quiet skepticism. Rival executives were rumored to be split, with some praising the Eagles for their fearlessness while others questioned whether the risk outweighed the reward. Analysts debated fit, timing, and chemistry, turning every rumored detail into hours of content. The Eagles, in these discussions, were framed as a franchise once again willing to challenge convention, refusing to wait for the perfect moment and instead creating one. Cleveland, meanwhile, was described as embracing a longer vision, one that prioritized adaptability over star power. This trade rumor quickly became less about two teams and more about contrasting philosophies, about how different organizations interpret success and sustainability in a league defined by constant pressure. Every angle felt debated, every whisper amplified, making it clear that this story was far from finished. By the time the dust began to settle, one thing was undeniable. This rumor trade had already reshaped conversations around both franchises. Philadelphia was suddenly viewed as aggressive, daring, and unapologetically ambitious, while Cleveland appeared reflective, strategic, and quietly determined to turn the page. Even without official confirmation echoing from podiums, the narrative had taken on a life of its own. Fans argued, creators speculated, and insiders continued to drop hints that suggested this move was not just possible, but inevitable. Whether celebrated or criticized, the idea of Deshaun Watson in an Eagles uniform had already altered expectations, and in the world of professional football, perception often becomes reality long before anything is formally announced. As the speculation deepened, attention turned toward how this move could reshape the internal dynamics of the Eagles' locker room. Rumors suggested that leadership within the team had already been preparing for a significant shift to the quarterback position, emphasizing unity, accountability, and clarity of roles. The idea, circulating among insiders, was that Philadelphia wanted to remove uncertainty before it could become a distraction. Bringing in a player like Watson, according to this narrative, would immediately establish a clear hierarchy and direction. Veterans were rumored to have been consulted, or at least subtly informed, about the possibility of a major acquisition, with the message being that winning now was the priority. This speculation framed the Eagles as an organization determined to align everyone under a single, aggressive vision, even if it meant embracing controversy. The belief was that strong leadership and a passionate fan base could transform pressure into momentum rather than fracture the locker room. On the field, the football implications became a playground for endless hypothetical breakdowns. Analysts speculated about how Watson's skill set would mesh with Philadelphia's offensive philosophy, imagining expanded playbooks, quicker tempo, and a more aggressive passing attack. The rumors painted a picture of an offense suddenly capable of stressing defenses horizontally and vertically, forcing opponents to rethink game plans entirely. It was whispered that the coaching staff saw this potential as too enticing to ignore, believing they could tailor the system to maximize Watson's strengths while minimizing exposure. This was not just about talent, according to the speculation, but about unlocking a different identity, one that leaned into creativity and confidence. The Eagles, in this imagined future, were no longer reacting to opponents, but dictating terms, a shift that could ripple through an entire season. Meanwhile, Cleveland's speculative future was described with cautious optimism and pragmatic realism. The chatter suggested that the Browns were preparing to redistribute resources, invest in depth, and refocus on team balance rather than individual stardom. This narrative emphasized a front office eager to regain flexibility, both financially and strategically. Insiders hinted that Cleveland viewed this moment as a chance to reset expectations, reduce noise, and quietly build something sustainable. Fans were rumored to be split, some relieved to move past constant scrutiny, others mourning what might have been. Yet within the organization, the speculation pointed toward a sense of calm determination, a belief that stepping away from a polarizing centerpiece could ultimately strengthen the foundation. For Watson, the rumored transition to Philadelphia carried enormous symbolic weight. The speculation suggested that he understood the stakes better than anyone, recognizing that this move could define how he is remembered. Philadelphia, with its unforgiving media and passionate supporters, was portrayed as both a challenge and an opportunity. The whispers framed Watson as ready to embrace that environment, believing that performance would be the loudest response to criticism. The idea of redemption through excellence became a recurring theme in speculative conversations, painting this trade as more than a roster move, but as a personal crossroads. Across the league, the ripple effects of this rumor continue to spread. Other teams were said to be recalculating strategies, reassessing their own quarterback situations, and watching closely how Philadelphia and Cleveland navigated the aftermath. The trade, even as speculation, became a reference point in discussions about risk, leadership, and long-term planning. It reminded everyone that in professional football, bold decisions can redefine trajectories overnight. Whether this move would ultimately be celebrated or scrutinized remained unknown, but its impact on the narrative landscape was already undeniable. As the conversation kept evolving, one truth became increasingly clear. This was not just a story about a trade, but about identity, ambition, and belief. The Eagles were rumored to be betting on transformation, on the idea that greatness often requires discomfort and courage. The Browns, in contrast, were speculated to be choosing recalibration, trusting that patience and structure could lead to a different kind of success. And at the center of it all stood DESHAUN Watson, a figure capable of shifting perceptions with every snap. Until official words finally emerge, this story lives in the realm of speculation, fueled by whispers, passion, and the endless hunger for the next defining moment in football. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The speculation only intensified as content creators and insiders began framing this move as a cultural gamble rather than a simple roster adjustment. In the rumor-driven narrative, the Eagles were portrayed as fully aware that this decision would dominate headlines, debates, and locker room conversations, yet they appeared comfortable embracing that storm. The whispers suggested a front office convinced that silence and caution rarely lead to championships, while boldness at least gives you control over your own destiny. Philadelphia, in this speculative lens, was no longer reacting to league trends but attempting to set one. The idea circulating was that the organization believed controversy fades, but elite quarterback play leaves a lasting imprint. Fans were imagined as conflicted, some thrilled by the upside, others uneasy with the baggage, yet all undeniably engaged. And for a city that thrives on intensity and debate, that engagement itself was seen as part of the strategy, turning scrutiny into energy and expectation into fuel. Another layer of rumor focused on how this trade could redefine narratives far beyond the two teams involved. League-wide speculation painted this move as a reminder that stability in professional football is often an illusion, and that franchises willing to challenge comfort zones can force the entire league to adjust. The Eagles were described as a mirror held up to other contenders, silently asking whether they were truly all in or simply protecting reputations. Cleveland, on the other hand, was rumored to be embracing a quieter path, one where success is measured less by splash and more by cohesion. This contrast fed endless discussions about leadership styles, patience, and the true cost of star-driven strategies. In this speculative world, the trade became a philosophical debate, a case study that executives, analysts, and fans dissected endlessly, each projecting their own beliefs onto the situation. As the rumor continued to live and breathe across platforms, the ending remained intentionally unresolved. That uncertainty was part of what made the story so powerful. allowing imaginations to run wild and expectations to stretch in every direction. The idea of Deshaun Watson leading Philadelphia became both a dream scenario and a cautionary tale, depending on who was telling the story. Yet, one consistent thread ran through every speculative take. This move symbolized intent. It suggested that both franchises were choosing clarity over hesitation, even if that clarity led them down very different roads. Until official voices finally break the silence. This narrative exists in the gray space where hope, doubt, ambition, and fear collide. And in that space, the story grows larger than football, becoming a reflection of how risk and belief continue to shape the league's most defining moments. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.